Hi, this is Jerry Biden for Guitar YouTube. This video is going to be on the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths. For me, the backwards descending fifths do not make much sense. The circle of fourths has legitimacy. Going up through a circle of fourths makes complete sense to me, and especially to jazz musicians. I want to explain why the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths are structured in the order in which those keys appear. Let's start with the major scale and a very quick reminder of how it is structured. The major scale is a 7-note scale arranged within an octave. An octave, in its simplest definition, is the distance between two notes equaling 12 half steps, up or down. The major scale starts at the root note of whatever octave, and from there, we proceed up in pitch. The notes of the scale are arranged with either half steps or whole steps between them. I like to numerate them: 1 or root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and root again, or 1 again, right? There's a whole step between the root note and the second note. Then when you go from the second note to the third note, that's also a whole step. The third note and the fourth note have a half step between them, and then whole step between the fifth and the sixth note, a whole step between the sixth and the seventh note, and then from 7 getting back to the root or to 1 again is a half step. And when we take that structure and we apply it to whatever note, okay, you'll end up with that note or root note's major scale. When we take that structure and throw it on top of a C, making C our root note, you end up with all the notes that are in C, which is, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, no sharps and no flats. It's kind of like the control scale. Let's go through the fifths first, okay? Now the major scale structure will be applied to the fifth note from C, which is the note G. Okay, you count up, go C, D, E, F, G. Then when we apply that structure to the G note and we go up to its octave, we end up with G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. We gain 1 sharp, and that's on the 7th degree in order to adhere to the structure of the scale. Right? Because if we mess with the structure, it's no longer a major scale. So we're keeping to that whole step, half step, whole step, half step, getting back to the root note. Now we're going to count up 5 notes from G, and we'll get to D, right? And now the major scale structure will be applied to D, okay? And those notes are going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. Interesting. So we again gained a sharp on the 7th degree of this new key. And again, it had to be altered. Instead of it being a C natural, it has to be a C sharp for the structure of the major scale to be the same. Note that the F sharp is kept with the D major scale. Okay? Let's go up 5 from D. D, E, F sharp, G, A. A is our new key that we're going to deal with, okay? Again, applying the major scale structure to the note A, we get A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. The G natural in the 7th degree was altered to G sharp in order, again, to keep it to the structure of a major scale. Both the F sharp and the C sharp are still kept within the key of A major. See a pattern? When we acquire an altered note, we are going to keep that note. Okay? Then, when we go up 5 notes to form the next key in the circle of fifths, we will add another sharp at the 7th degree of that new key. See it? Apply the major scale structure to E, of course, and you get E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. The D natural at the 7th degree is raised. to be a D sharp because we got to do that, okay? And we will keep the other sharp notes that we previously acquired. And that is why E major has 4 sharps. Okay, let's go up 5 from E. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. Apply the major scale to B, and you got B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B. That's why, B has 5 sharps. It's very logical once you understand how they're gathering sharps. They're applying the major scale to these notes in order to create the system that they came up with, 600 years ago maybe. So let's go up 5 from B. We've got B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, F sharp. 6th key of the circle of fifths. And when we do that, we get F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and F sharp. Now there's 6 because we had to alter the 7th degree of the notes from F sharp if we're going to keep to this major scale structure. Okay, I'm going to pound this thing into you. Okay, there you have why we do actually have to deal with an E sharp. We're not going to call it F. Can't call it F. You have to call it E sharp in this case. And then our last 7th key is going to be C sharp, right? Because 5 up from F sharp is C sharp. That's a 5th up. That's why it's called the circle of fifths. Apply the major scale structure to C sharp and you get a B sharp at the 7th degree, and that is why we have to deal with a B sharp every once in a while. Hopefully you don't have to read in C sharp. Okay? And that is the last key. That's 7. If we keep going, we're going to end up with double sharps. Nah, don't do that. Okay. Next, let's go up in fourths. Okay. So again, we start with C right at the top of the circle thing. Again, that has no sharps and flats because when we apply the major scale structure to the note C, it ends up not having any sharps or flats or any altered tones, okay? Why it's called the circle of fourths, why I prefer that, is because we're going to count up 4 from C to get to the first key. Now again, C, D, E, F, F. Okay? Just like the circle of fifths, we're applying the structure of the major scale to the note F, and we end up with F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Okay. You notice the B flat on the 4th degree, okay? The B, the 4th note, had to be lowered in order to accommodate for the structure of the major scale. It's interesting because the next key is going to be B flat because that's the 4th note in the key of F. New key is B flat. Apply the major scale structure to B flat and you end up with B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. And yes, just like the previous key, we're going to add a flat to the 4th degree E natural, but it can't be an E natural because that wouldn't be a major scale. And look, of course, when we start from B flat from the previous key, we're going to keep that because we have to. Okay. Now we're going to go up 4 notes from B flat, and you know what that is? E flat. Okay. And that, when we apply the structure of the major scale to E flat, it becomes E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. Again, the 4th degree, or A, is flattened. Okay? See the pattern? For flat keys, we go up in fourths to get to the next key. We alter the 4th note, or degree of the new key, by making the 4th a half step lower, flattening it, in order to keep to the structure of the major scale. And yes, all the flats that we acquired in the previous keys, we're going to keep. You don't get rid of acquired altered notes. Okay, you keep them in both sides of the circle. We're going to go up to A flat. The last note to be altered in terms of the circle of fourths is going to be the next key. Okay, you see it, right? So that would be A flat, which is A flat, B flat, C, D flat, and the next key. E flat, F, G, A flat. And that is why A flat has 4 flat notes in its key signature. Now we go up 4, which is, already said it's going to be D flat. Okay, so from D flat, applying the major scale structure to it, you get D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, and D flat back to root. You can predict what's going to happen next, right? The next key is going to be G flat. Apply the major scale structure to G flat. We end up with G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G flat. Okay, that's 6 flats in the key of G flat. And so yeah, that's why the C flat does exist. You have to deal with it. You can't call it a B because we already got the letter B in the scale. You're not going to go B flat, B, D flat. That would be breaking the rules of hundreds of years. The last flat that we acquired was C flat. That's the new key, and it's going to be the last key because that would be 7 flats. Okay, and that's C flat, D flat, E flat, F flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, and C flat. That's why you sometimes have to deal with an F flat and be thankful you don't have to read in that key all that much. And that is why all of these keys, all the keys that we went through on both circles, have their particular sharps and flats, right? And that's why it's ordered that way as well, okay? That's how they acquire these sharps and flats, okay? Now when you explore the circle of fifths and the circle of fourths, you will have the proper understanding of why each key has those sharps or flats, okay? So I hope that illuminates why the number of sharps and number of flats are associated with a particular key, okay? That's how you get this thing, okay? Jerry Biden for Guitar YouTube. See you next time. Thanks.